Just going through my blog looking at some old paintings. Here's one I found from 5 years ago. I think I made this one up according to the description. Nice little scene. We got a little our yacht there and this little house here on the shoreline, so I might do a sort of another version of this, see how I get on. So here's my palette. Got ultramarine, lemon yellow, Payne's grey, alizarin crimson, raw sienna, burnt umber and light red. The 3 brushes. Large on Ranson 8 and a number 3 rigger. 3/4 inch flat as well, though I don't use that very often, not as much as the other two anyway. Got out a water jar, bit of paper which I ain't put out yet, and I got my tea towel up here drying. Quick look at the old painting again and we'll get started. I'm going to start as I do most paintings, just by giving it a coat of clear water. That way the sky will soften off, there'll be no hard edges, all the clouds will be nice and fluffy. And this is just going to be just raw sienna, all the way down to the bottom. Clean the brush. Ultramarine and a bit of Payne's grey. Again, just sort of haphazard fashion. I'm going to do that once again. Ultramarine, a bit darker this time. Just trying to preserve an area of the light somewhere. It doesn't have to be down the middle, it could be anywhere. But as long as there's a sort of light and dark contrast, because you don't want it all looking the same, so it'll look boring. And you've got until the paper starts to dry to do this. So the quicker you can get on with it, the better really, although you don't have to get mad, completely crazy. Add a bit of alizarin crimson into the mix. Just a bit more of that in. It's still wet, so I'm still safe to carry on. Just going to dip the tips in, bring the ears back together. Don't want it too wet, so I'll just give it a quick wipe on the tea towel. Let's just pop a few clouds in there. On this side as well. Just keep darkening it. Obviously the darker the adjacent areas are, the lighter the other area is going to look. I'm going to use a tissue. Last time I used the brush, this time I'm going to use a tissue to pop in a few white clouds. Just adds a bit of texture up there in the sky. Don't get too crazy with it though, take off all what you've put on. Paper's stretched a little, so I'm just going to pull it flat so it's flat against the wood. Still wet, so I can still carry on a little bit. It's starting to dry now though, you can just about see how it's drying, so before it dries completely I'll just pop the most distant land in, and because it's still slightly wet I can just about, well it's almost dry now down the middle. If I just pop the distant land in, you can see now that is dry. It's coming off quite sharp, it's not soft enough, as opposed to, no, it's not soft enough anyway, so oh, I can soften enough though. If I just water it right down, and then I just sort of go over it now, look. Sort of diluting what I've already put on. Just really reduce the tone now, make it lighter. And then obviously if you want, you can just go over the tissue here and there, just reduce it even more. Probably do a better job than what I've just done a bit there, but not to worry. Most of that's going to be covered up anyway, so don't worry about it. Now, essentially there's like 4 layers to this. You've got the distant land, and there'll be a second layer going in there, then a third, and then there'll be like a little bank in the foreground. Now, the more layers you get in, the more sort of depth you get to the scene, the more interesting it looks. So for the second layer, I'm just going to dip the tips in just to bring the hairs back together. A bit of raw sienna, ultramarine. It's going to come down somewhere like that. Bit of lemon yellow as well. Now there's going to be a yacht against there, so I want to get that in nice and dark so that the white sails contrast well against the background. So that's taken care of now. That's a nice bit of dark background for it. Just level this off down the bottom. And now on this other side, this land's going to come down something like this. And again, there's going to be a little cottage or something there, so I want that in fairly dark as well, so that it comes out when I lift the paint out. So I want to put some reflections in, but the paper's dry, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to check that it's bone dry with a hair dry. First I'm going to pull it tight, just make sure it's nice and flat. And I'm going to make sure the water area is dry. Clean the brush. I'm just going to use clear water and just re-wet the water area. Then take off a lot of that excess water. And I'm going to try and replicate the colours above. So it was predominantly greens, a bit of blue, a bit of yellow, a bit of Payne's grey, raw sienna. Just try and replicate what's above. It doesn't have to be absolutely exact, as long as it's there or thereabouts. And then we're just pulling down as low as the land is high. That's that, a bit darker. Take the battery out of the phone so now I can't get disturbed. Again, a bit darker down there. That'll do for that. And again. So I didn't rate that very well. See the difference now? Yeah, that blends a lot more. You can't see any hard edges, but you can definitely see hard edges around here because I didn't wet it properly. But it doesn't matter, you get away with that, it's not a problem. Once you've got your reflections in, just dry the water area again. So you got sort of furthest layer, then you got second layer, third layer, and then finally we've got a fourth layer in the foreground bank. So I'll try and get a bit more variation than I have done in these middle 2 layers. sort of very green, not much else going on. So let's I'm just going to work my way around the palette really. Start off with a bit of raw sienna, that's starting off over there. Bit of burnt umber, bit of light red, bit of ultramarine, bit of lemon yellow, just throw the lot in, Payne's grey, alizarin crimson, and then back to raw sienna. Then if you don't like them, just mix them together. So eventually, if you keep mixing all, you'll end up with one colour. So although I don't normally go around the palette, in fact I think that's the first time I've ever done it. You can do anything, and most things can be repaired if you make a mess. A few little things over here. Yeah, a few little flicks with a nail, a few grasses and whatnot. And we can sort of flick up like that, create a few grasses. These ones I flicked up don't look quite right really. Often look better with a rigger. Just flick them up. Right, and that's the foreground in. Probably overdone it slightly, but not to worry. Just want to make that sure that's a bit dry so I don't make a mess when I put my hand on it. I just need to lean my hand against the paper. That's enough of that. Right, so if we do the yacht first, I'm going to place a clean bit of tissue in my left hand, and then a damp rigger brush in my right. And then the yacht's going to go somewhere over here. So if we go, just take out with a damp brush a sort of triangular shape of a sail, and then as you keep going over it, the paint will loosen, and then eventually it will loosen enough so you can just dab it with a tissue and you get like a little yacht effect. Obviously if you've got the reflections of the hills and mountains, you'll need the reflection of the sails as well, just to make it look make the water look realistic. Now the little cottage, for that I'm going to switch to the flat brush, and again same sort of thing really, I'm just dampening it, not too much water, take out the excess off on the towel, and then pick again a dark area because you want it to contrast nicely. First take out a sort of a roof shape, dab it with a tissue, and then do the side, and then we've got sort of essentially the shape of the cottage, and then we can sort of, what colour should we do the roof? Sort of slightly over that with some rose in there. We get some dark mix, we just emphasise the shape slightly better. Bit of darkish paint. have a couple of little windows on the side there, and then we got a just put a door on this side. And a little chimney on the top, and then it's not in the painting, but let's try and create the effect of some smoke coming out of it. So I'm switching back to the rigger brush, fairly damp, and then starting, actually that's got to be dry before you do this. It's all dry. If you don't dry it, when you create the smoke, you're gonna take off the cottage, remove the cottage as well. So starting at the top of the chimney, let's have the smoke going that way because that's where the dark colours are, dark tones, and it will show up better. You sort of just circular motions and then just take it out. Something like that. It just looks like a bit of smoke coming out the chimney. We also do with some birds in the sky, so again sticking with the rigger. Not too much water. Just find a nice little spot for the birds to be flying. Keeping them nice and small. And then finally I'm just going to pop my signature in the corner. Somewhere down here out of the way. I'll call that one finished. So let's see what it looks like with the mount on. So this is our finished painting. If we just have another look at the reference picture. First thing I've tried to do is make the sky. It's all a bit of a mixture up here. Not much really hard to decipher what's going on really. Tried to structure the sky a bit better. A bit of light and dark up there, and a bit of texture with the clouds and tissue work and hake brush. And so we're going to have 3 layers. Here's the distant layer, the first layer. Pretty much the same as the sky. Don't need much tonal contrast at that distance. Our second layer here, with our little yacht taken out with the little rigger brush and a piece of tissue. Then our third layer with our little cottage there, taken out with the 3/4 inch flat brush, and then just a damp rigger just to create the effect of some smoke coming out of the chimney. Obviously you need to do it on a dark bit of land to bring out the white of the smoke against the dark background. Then we've got a darkish foreground here with all range of colours. Bit of finger work, scratching out for grasses, a few more put in with the rigger and then a few put in with the hake brush. Well, thanks for watching. All these paintings are available in my store, eBay store. If you wanted to pop over, you'll see the link in the video description. Keep practicing, and I'll see you again soon.